and welcome to Destination I Do's podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Stein. And if you are thinking about the Bahamas as your destination for your wedding, we have the perfect episode for you because I'm talking to founder and owner of Chic Bahama Weddings, Marva Munroe. And she is here to talk all about her business as well as why the Bahamas may be the perfect destination for your wedding. Welcome, Marva. It's so good to have you on the show.
Hey, Jennifer, it's a delight.
So, Marva, I know you're an award-winning Caribbean wedding and event planner. You have extensive experience coordinating and producing not just Bahamas events, but international events. You have a background in hospitality and tourism. I'd love to hear a little bit of a background about how you got started, specifically in the Bahamas, and how you got started planning weddings.
Certainly. So, special interest events are my background and something that I've always been passionate about, having headed up our tourism board, the private arm of tourism, and having staged and produced international events with international participants and media, ranging from powerboat races, long driving championships, vintage and historic car races, foot races, biplane races, long driving championships, anything that was fast-paced, had engines, and required massive logistics. And so when leaving the tourism board, I took a position with a boutique Danish Dutch-owned hotel. And very early on in that outsourced position that was meant to last all of 6 months, but carried on for way many more years, I launched destination weddings for the property and grew those weddings from 2 to over 100 with nothing. We had no kitchen, no equipment, no tables, chairs, linen, china glassware, silverware, none of that. But I found a way to produce magical events and, of course, consulted with the amazing Rebecca Grinnell and Catherine Arce from Engage. And the rest has been history. From producing the events for that boutique property and being asked by brides, well, don't you produce weddings elsewhere in the Bahamas? Of course, we produce destination weddings elsewhere in the Bahamas, and a seed planted by Rebecca as well owned the Bahamas. And that's exactly what we did, producing destination weddings throughout the Bahamas with the most intricate of logistics, because they are on out islands, remote places, if you will. And here we are today.
That's wonderful. So how many weddings would you say you and your team plan per year at this point? Because I know you're, into your career, and by the way, listener, I have seen Marva's work. It is so exceptional. So exceptional. She has a design eye like nobody's business. I mean, she's the real deal. So out of all the years you've been planning, what's your average wedding, like number of weddings now?
Number of weddings now, I'd say 25 a year. We've done as many as 30 or just over in peak years. And we like being at 20 to 25 weddings annually throughout the islands of the Bahamas. And even in Florida, we've produced destination weddings.
So would you say most of the weddings that you produce are large scale events, like hundreds and hundreds of people, or are they on the smaller, more intimate side? I mean, I know during COVID, everything was on the small, intimate side, but, now that we're kind of back to regular life, if you will, are they large or small or kind of a mixture?
We've had weddings big for destination of 200 people. We just did one last weekend in Harbor Island for 150 guests. And average, I'd say, would be anywhere from 50 to over 100. We've
Okay.
had many of those over 100, well, at least 80 to over 100 weddings, and destinations such as Exuma, which is renowned for its stunning crystal clear blue waters, 19 shades of blue, very popular, as are Harbor Island in particular, and of course, Eleuthera, even as far away as Remote Island, our biggest island, Andros.
Okay, nice. So who would you say is your ideal client? Are they completely hands off, or are they someone who's kind of like in the minutia with you every single day, sending you Pinterest board after Pinterest board and saying, I think I want this, I think I want this. I need exactly, one king protea in my bouquet and 7, ranunculus or whatever. Who would you say is like the perfect client for you?
Perfect client, especially for these multi-day events, minimum 4 days. Trust us and allow us to take the reins and design, plan, and produce the wedding, which is wonderful. I love trust. I love clients, couples being able to just chill, either because they're too busy or really they have no interest in being hands-on and micro arranging every detail of the wedding. Mind you, there would be certainly 1 or 2 clients who are of that nature, but I'll take the hands-off, trust you client any day.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said for staying in your lane. Part of the reason couples are hiring you is because they've never planned a wedding, or if they have, maybe their first wedding didn't go as seamlessly as they had expected. So I think, having a group of vendors that you truly trust, and especially you at the helm, and kind of
Yes.
orchestrating everything and being that point person for them, it not only alleviates the stress for the couple, but it also just allows the entire event to go so much more smoothly. I mean, even down to like a timeline, because I think a lot of couples, they don't think, well, I need a timeline, whereas a wedding planner, like that is like 101. You have to have a timeline in order for things to go smoothly. And that's something that's distributed to all the vendors. So the photographer and videographer know when certain things are happening. They know when people are arriving to the wedding suite. They know when the flowers are being delivered. They know when the setup's going to be ready so that they can photograph the entire reception without
Indeed.
coats hanging on the back of a chair and things like that. It's the little tiny things that a wedding planner can bring there's just so many, I can't even, but I think allowing your vendors and especially your wedding planner to just do what you hired them to do and trust that process. If you don't trust them, don't hire them. I mean, that's what I always say. It's like, if you're not
Indeed.
going to just let go and let that person do what you hired them to do, then don't hire them in the first place. So I know working with couples from afar is a lot easier now in the day of, Zoom calls and meetings and face to face. Even though we're far away, we can do a lot more than even, 10 or 15 years ago. How do you work with your couples from afar? Do you suggest that they do like scouting trips with you, or if they can't do it, will you kind of do like a venue walkthrough with them on video? Like, how do you handle the little decisions that you do need their input on?
So we're blessed because many of the couples who do come to the Bahamas, especially the out islands of the Bahamas, are past visitors and have frequented our shores for many years. Many of them as well have parents who are second home owners, and so they grew up coming here, or they're boaters and have been here many times and decide that they want to be married here and share this paradise with their friends and family who may have not visited. But for the hands-on bride who really must see that setting before she can be comfortable with decor at all, it's important that she visits. At the same token, though, we've had couples who are jittery kind of, but just can't find the time for a pre-wedding site visit. And so they come sight unseen and every time have been just thrilled with what they've found. And as they've arrived, the sun is shining, the venue is gorgeous. You can physically see the release of any stress and the position, the body language, everything change. And they just become different human beings, which is always marvelous.
That's going to be really satisfying for you to see that physical transformation where you're probably picking up on some of their nervous energy before they get there. And then, to see them once they finally arrive and they're like, oh, okay. Like she knew exactly what she was talking about. And here we are in absolute nirvana. That's got to be really, really a satisfying thing for you.
Extremely so, Jennifer, and especially having expectations exceeded. The venue is beyond what pictures showed. The experience is beyond anything that the couple could have imagined. That's good. That's a really good, gratifying feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine. So let's talk for a second, Marva, about vendors. So, how do you select the vendors that you hire? First question. And then kind of piggybacking to that, what if a couple wants a specific vendor you've never worked with, or maybe you're not comfortable with, like maybe you kind of know them in the industry and you're like, I don't know that I really want to work with you. How do you handle, first of all, selecting your list of vendors that are like your trusted, like circle of trust people? And then also, what do you do when you come across them when you're like, uh-oh?
We maintain a circle of trust partners because we do not want surprises for the couple, never mind ourselves. And I really, really do not enjoy working with partners or vendors who we know past experience in working with. I'm just like jittery. So we keep a set circle on or for every destination of partners who are preferred. And we really do try to stick to that. I have had instances where a couple may have chosen a caterer, for instance, if the event is at a private villa in one of the out islands. And I've outright said, I don't like working with that vendor, and I've given the reasons why I don't. And so it's up to the couple to ensure that everything you work directly with that vendor, you communicate and tell that vendor what you want, and you're going to be responsible for the execution of services delivered.
Yeah, got to CYA, man. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, I feel like the buck in a way stops with you when you're hired as their planner. And if they're bringing in other people and you're not speaking up saying, hey, I've worked with them, the food is inconsistent, or they are not reliable, or whatever reason that you give, and give them an alternative, hey, this is who I work with. Because I do think that like attracts like, right? So if you have a really, like, doctors are a great example. If you have a great doctor, they usually know other really great doctors. And so you start there.
Of course.
And so it's the same way in the wedding industry. And I'm sure there are times where you come across new people that maybe you met them at Engage, or you met them at one of the conferences. There's so many wedding conferences now, meeting someone and getting to see their work, or working with them, at maybe an industry event versus a wedding. And you're like, oh, I could expand my circle of trust, and this person may be a good welcome, participant in, or maybe they have, like, it's a photographer that maybe has a different, kind of artistic outlook that you haven't seen before. And you have a client that's looking for exactly that. You can bring those people in. So it's not like you have this like concrete box of like vendors that you'll only work with them, but who is good and who maybe isn't so good.
Who delivers in an exceptional way. And that's occurred many times. Just last weekend, we worked with a photographer who I met years ago, at another couple's wedding in Exuma. We clicked and we've worked together so many times subsequently. Caroline Lima.
Oh,
Lima
I
Carol.
love Caroline Lima. She is seriously so, so talented. Little shout out.
She is.
She's
She
not
is.
sponsoring this little love fest right now. She's so good. We've
No,
published her work many, many times. Follow her on
yes.
Instagram. So yeah, yeah, very talented.
Same with Donna von Bruning.
Oh,
Um,
I love her.
and of course, Elan Artists, who I
Mhm.
met at Engage, Josh,
Yep.
and
Josh is
his amazing team.
amazing team.
Yeah,
I mean, you could
yeah.
talk about like boy bands for days and people that sound like Whitney Houston but aren't Whitney Houston. I mean, the amount of
Mhm.
talent coming out of Elan Artists is pretty groundbreaking.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's great to work with people like that, have them come to the Bahamas. I know them, but they're not in our like here local circle or whatever, but they're that other
Well,
part of the circle.
and it sounds based on who your clientele is. These are discerning individuals who want a beautiful, picture perfect event, everything going seamlessly. So you definitely are aligning yourself with the industry's best. Donna Van Buren
Indeed.
is like, she's the real deal too, and such an amazing, sweet, kind-hearted person on top of it all. Okay, for that, I'm going to just take a quick commercial break. And in a moment, guys, we're going to be back with Marva Munroe from Chic Bahama Weddings to talk all about your Bahamas upcoming event. Hang on.
Are you looking for the perfect vendors to make your wedding dreams come true? Well, luckily, Destination I Do has our very own vendor directory. From our homepage, simply click Find a Vendor, scroll down and choose your filters, and learn more about the vendor. You can view their recent work, click on their website, or even find their contact information at the bottom. We personally vet all of our vendors, so you can stop scrolling and just go to destinationIdo.com/find-a-vendor.
And we're back with Marva Munroe from Chic Bahama Weddings, and we are talking all about your destination wedding in the Bahamas. We have so many things still to talk about. First of all, and this kind of piggybacks on what we just finished talking about, which was how you are the No Stress Express. We've just decided that is your tagline because you are just so calming and you just have a really like relaxed vibe about you. And I think that is so helpful, especially for couples that are doing destination weddings, because a lot of destination wedding couples are kind of a little more hands off, I think, by nature. They're just kind of like, I don't want to deal with the hometown wedding. It's too much. I want to get out of town. I want to get somewhere with my
Yes.
guests and have a vacation, right? So they're already kind of in that mindset. But as we all know, wedding planning and all of the different information coming their way can start to make them stressed out, right? So
Mhm.
what do you do, especially the week of a destination wedding? Because you were saying the average is about a 4-day experience, right? So you're talking about excursions, you're talking about group activities outside, auxiliary events outside of the destination wedding. So the week of, that's probably when like the rubber hits the road, right? And you're kind of going, all right, there's so many last minute things to do. How do you and your team kind of take that pressure off of the couple?
Rubber hits the road is right. So you have groups coming in from various parts of the US through various gateways. And I think it's always very important to arrange airport hotel transportation because that's something you don't have to think about. You arrive, somebody has a welcome sign, greets your guests at the airport, and whisks them off to the host hotel. I love that myself in traveling. Yeah, so really, really important. Certainly getting welcome bags to the respective places where guests are staying. And depending on the island, if it's a small island like a key, guests can be staying at the host hotel, which may not be all that big. It may be boutique and limited capacity, of course. And so guests must stay at Airbnbs or other properties. And so distribution, after having put together all of those beautiful gifts, Turkish towels, Bahamian made rum, snack bags, water, etc., they have to be distributed. So that's a big thing for couples, even mothers planning their daughters' weddings. They want to know that guests are going to receive their welcome bags. Nothing's going to be lost or left behind if a guest happens to switch rooms, which I've seen. So I'm really sticklish about that. The excursions, the fun things, boating trips, getting those all arranged. Either snack boxes, picnic boxes, or grab and go breakfast if it's a half day morning excursion. All of those things we are actively arranging for our guests, for the wedding couple's guests, and ensure that everything goes off without a hitch. Everybody gets off, has an amazing time on the water, on the boats, and returns to destination, meaning host venue, in time for getting dressed for the festivities of the evening.
I love that. And I have to say, because we've done many a press trip or familiarization trip, just, for features and things within Destination I Do. And there's nothing better than getting off of, a long flight and you show up and there's someone with your name on a sign. It's like, I don't have to stress about getting from point A to point B anymore. I've arrived, my luggage, I don't even see it until I get into the hotel room, which is also amazing. So those little touches too, for the guest experience, because I do think that there's so much of a priority placed on guest experience nowadays, especially for a destination wedding. People realize they're taking time off work, they're spending money to be here. There's an investment that goes beyond a hometown wedding to participate in this. And so a lot of couples are just really putting a priority on that guest experience. So those little touch points of having your name on a board when you get to the airport, or having a to-go breakfast, so you're not having, your blood sugar isn't crashing when you're on the catamaran and trying to enjoy the sun. So those little things I think really go a long way. And for the couple to know that someone else is handling that for them, and so they don't even have to think about it. Awesome. Awesome.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So let's talk about the destination for a moment, Marva. In your opinion, there's a lot of Caribbean destinations out there, and there's a lot of beauty and a lot of, just different nuances between the different Caribbean locales. In your opinion, why would a couple select the Bahamas over a different Caribbean destination?
The close proximity to the destination, Jennifer, is a big plus. Couples and their guests can leave home early morning and by lunchtime be on a gorgeous beach in the Bahamas. So a great, not central, but for guests or for couples who have guests all over the world or all over the US, we find all the time that Bahamas is a convenient spot because it's not a long travel time, excessively long travel time, even if coming from Europe. It's just a convenient place to fly to, with airlift being available from so many different gateways in the US, as well as Canada and Europe, going via London, Gatwick, or London Heathrow.
I would agree with that. And, having traveled to the Caribbean from the West Coast, there's something to be said for that, because it's really, for me, typically 2 flights. You usually connect through, either Miami or Dallas or one of the main hubs, and then I'm there. Whereas other destinations, depending on where they are, sometimes it is an overnight in Miami because there's not that many flights that go to the destination. Sometimes I'm getting to the destination almost, and then I got to take a, boat or a ferry or something else to get that flight. And so it can be a little taxing. So that's good to know that just the convenience level is there. And also the beauty, there's loads of resorts. I mean, so many beautiful properties, boutique, very large, different.
They run the gamut.
You really, really do.
The Out Islands boast of the most wonderful boutique resorts, oceanfront, of course, and just really, really easy to fly to. Direct nonstop direct nonstop the majority of the times.
So as far as, so I know that you work in the Bahamas primarily, it's part of your business name, but do you ever work in other locations outside of the Bahamas?
Yes, as I said, we've done Florida, but of course we're open to hosting events or producing events in Mexico, for instance, which I love. I've been to that place so many times. I love the people. I love the resorts. Jamaica, I love, Montego Bay, amongst other areas, and certainly Anguilla. So yeah, Costa Rica, of course,
Oh,
as
Costa Rica
well,
is
which offers so
beautiful.
much. Yes.
Definitely. So as far as giving someone the ultimate Bahamian experience, what would you say there are some things that couples just absolutely need to include in their timeline or their guest experience?
In that welcome bag, for instance, you've got to include Bahamian specialties in the likes of hot sauce, honey, sea salt, Bahamian made sweets, the rum cake,
Just the rum.
Bahamian chocolates. Yeah.
Like, just give me the rum, baby, all day.
Yeah, you could have just the rum, of course, you can have, but people have taken the rum cakes home too. The rum cakes have the added calories, but they're so delicious.
Oh yeah.
Coke, yeah, or just rum.
Just a big bottle of rum. Like, forget the Turkish towel. I'm just gonna drink the rum.
Yeah, a big bottle of rum. So those items in the welcome bag. Entertainment, cannot forget Junkanoo, which just gets you on your feet, tapping your feet, experiencing the most exhilarating event ever, memorable. It's etched in your mind for years. I found of late that the fire dances are exquisite. I'm really loving those performances, and something to be included in a destination wedding experience. Then, of course, the bands, the local bands, the steel band, though originally from Trinidad, but a Bahamian staple for a ceremony or a cocktail hour, that tropical vibe. It's nothing again like it.
Yeah.
So those are just a few of the things. Not to forget the cuisine. For your welcome event, you may want to do a completely Bahamian menu, and those are requested, or that is requested by couples who are familiar with the Bahamas and who visited many times. So the peas and rice, no macaroni and cheese, that's too fattening. The plantains, certainly the fish, the local fish, conch, the mollusk, similar to clams, kind of, but conch ceviche, conch live demonstration of same, conch fritters. Every event might have conch fritters, the most delicate of conch fritters, tiny conch fritters with tiny bits of chopped up conch in them.
So good.
Mouth watering.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to eat when I'm in the Bahamas is a conch fritter. I mean, give me all of them. That and a big bottle of rum, and I'm a happy girl. And a beach. Definitely a beach.
Yes. Beaches, Jennifer. Oh my God. Even as a Bahamian, I am just mesmerized, and even while home, I make every effort to go to the beach. You gotta smell that salt air, though I'm on the water anyway at home, but the salt air, feet in the sand, the most powdery, white, soft sand beaches, like none like them. I'm just taken, I could swoon pretty much, because the beaches change every day. They're never the same. And experience them in their calm, serene beauty, placid waters, the sandbars that just pop up in your face as you ride along a Queens Highway. There's a Queens Highway in every, or on every island, and to experience and see those exquisite sandbanks, as some people call them, or the sandbars. Ooh, just total beauty.
Yeah.
hosting your event oceanside with the lighting or a bonfire on one of our islands. Just spoiling. And crystal clear waters. That's something that's really, really important to me. The waters have to be, they're crystal clear. You can see the bottom, which is a big thing for me.
Well, and I think too, when you're picking your destination for your wedding, you really want to think about the photos and what you're going to be left with as far as memories and
indeed the backdrops.
And you just don't get any better than the Caribbean oceans. I mean, and the Bahamian beaches are literally the best, like powdery sand, like nothing you've ever seen. It's pretty spectacular.
Pink sand.
Yeah, and
on
pink
Marva
sand.
Island and Elizabeth, and in Cat Island.
Barbacore on the sand. Gotta love some pink.
Yeah, barbacore on the sand.
So let me ask you this. When it comes to the travel is a huge part for a destination wedding. Do you and your team help plan the travel at all for your guests and your couples? Or do you have like a company that you use that helps arrange the excursions or the flights or, all getting the group from one place to the other? How does that work?
We have helped with travel, Jennifer. We have, again, partners who we work with. I've even gone to the extent of contacting one of the major airlines to arrange group rates through influence, through, of course, the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism, to arrange group rates out of maybe Midwestern destinations or wherever, or private charters, private air charters. We've also arranged for couples, have a few of those upcoming, where we've arranged or assisted the family in finding private charter companies to fly them and their guests here. So yes, we do assist with that, either directly or a third party we would connect with and arrange the travel for the wedding guests.
Oh, it's so nice to know.
Local travel, yes, definitely. Getting from one destination to the other. We've done the big group thing or honeymoon thing where you're arranging through, again, perhaps a third party for the wedding guests, or if it's just a couple, perhaps they want to take seaplane. We've helped with.
That's wonderful.
And we've also used concierge service as part of our team for say.
Wonderful. I love that. Well, and honestly, that's a huge stressor for anyone, regardless of if it's their wedding or not. Travel these days can be hairy. So the fact that you're assisting in making sure that, and you've got vendors that you work with and partners that you trust that are going to help couples get from one point to the other is huge. So let's switch gears really quick. I always am eager to know, especially from a planner's point of view, what are some trends that you're seeing in the Bahamas that you absolutely love right now?
I love that some couples are electing to use like sunset colors for their wedding flowers. Really, really love that. I really, really like to depart from the standard white and greenery. Use some more sunset bright colors, the oranges and the raspberry or melons, of colors of that sort. And I'm seeing some of that and adore every bit of it.
Yeah, I definitely think color is back, and I don't think it's going anywhere for a while. I feel like, the whole vanilla kind of same I think it always has a place. I don't think it'll ever go away. There's always going to be couples that kind of, gravitate to that, but I do think it's really fun when couples, are open to using color in their wedding. What's a trend that you're ready to kind of fizzle out?
Copying design and wanting that design exactly as it is. Like allow some deviation, some embellishment. Don't do the exact same, and don't pin the planner designer to only that.
And I think when you say pin, it's not just pinning them like in the actual term of like boxing them in, but also get off Pinterest, people, because the second, like to your point, when you're saying copying design, I'm assuming you're meaning someone hands you a picture of somebody else's work and says, I want this and exactly this. Like it doesn't
Yes.
allow the vendors and the creative people that are literally like, if you're hiring Marva and her team, you're hiring the best in the business. So you're literally hamstringing them from doing the best work that they can do by saying, here's this picture I found on Pinterest. I want exactly that. That's, I would agree with that for sure. What's your favorite thing about your job?
I particularly love helping couples, Jennifer. I just really, really enjoy the fact that we can bring all their dreams to fruition and not only make them or help them to realize their dreams, but definitely to exceed expectation and to ensure. And some couples say, oh, things always happen with weddings. Well, if you see something coming, don't let it come. Fix it. Stop it. So one time, I'm always very careful importing flowers. We import our own flowers for the weddings because I just cannot get what I want for our couples here. The variety due to the market, if couples or other customers aren't buying those particular things, then the wholesalers, the floral shops don't want to invest in providing those items, and I don't blame them one bit. So one time I had flowers being flown in, and you've always got to be careful over a holiday weekend, Friday holiday. We always allow a swing day, just in the event something happens, it could be fixed. Well, the swing day didn't happen, which is a Friday. Normally you fly a Thursday. And for some reason or other, the orchids, the beautiful orchids, it was an all orchid wedding, didn't fly in. So we needed the flowers for the wedding. So thankfully, relationships, the owner of the company said, Marva, I will fly the holiday Friday, and I will bring those flowers in for you. And he did.
Wow.
Situation saved.
That's amazing.
So yeah, just really, really amazing.
Can you imagine if the couple hadn't hired you and they were dealing with that? Like, that's why you hire a wedding planner. That exact
Indeed.
story is why you want someone who has the relationship. I mean, for someone to go and make sure that your wedding went off without a hitch over a holiday weekend, to personally deliver flowers, it just, those are some big reasons to make sure you've got someone like Marva in your corner for sure. Anything else you want to share with our listeners today, Marva?
Trust your planner. Just trust your planner. And I particularly encourage couples to experience authentic Bahamas, the out islands of the Bahamas. I've heard so many couples and guests say that they wish they'd just skipped bigger places, mass places, and flock to the out islands of the Bahamas for that intimate, super authentic Bahamian experience where there are no crowds, it's safe, you're riding around on a golf cart, for instance, as opposed to a motor vehicle. What an experience. Of course, there are certain keys and islands that offer that experience, or just a private key. Indulge in one of those.
Yeah.
But book early, because those are in high demand.
Yes, they definitely are. And there's not that many of them either, so.
No, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Marva. I adore you personally, and I just can attest to how beautiful your work is, how well you work with couples. I mean, you are the real deal. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge today. Thank you for coming on the show. And any of you, if you want to like or follow, you can reach Marva and her team. chicbahamasweddings.com is their website. If you want to follow them on social media, it's at Chic Bahamas Weddings. And thank you so much, Marva. I appreciate you.
Love you, love you, love you, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, and if you want to follow Destination I Do, our website is destinationIdo.com. And all of this will be in your show notes. You can also follow us on social media, Destination I Do. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.